Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. On behalf of Astea International, XOi Technologies, and the BP Group, we're very happy that you can join us today as we walk you through visual intelligence in field service management and how that helps you boost customer trust and technician efficiency. We have a lot of great things to share with you today. We have a great demo to show you of how the Astea platform is integrated with the XOi Vision platform. And then at the end, we're going to share a live case study with you featuring our joint customer, the BP Group. Who you have with us today and what we're going to cover. My name is Emily Hackman. I'm the Director of Global Marketing here at Astea. I'll be joined by Aaron Salo, who's the CEO of XOi Technologies. I'm also joined by Matt King from XOi Technologies, Head of their Business Development. And we also have John Fannerin, who's the President of the BP Group. And like I said, you definitely want to hang on until the end because we'll be interviewing Jack live and having him explain to you in his own words how he's using the integrated solution. So let's back up and talk about why Astea has decided to partner with XOi. We really feel that there's a natural alignment between field service management and visual intelligence. Some of the benefits are validating the quality and the consistency of field service work, definitely streamlining information sharing and training, both internally and externally with your service stakeholders, and then increasing the efficiency and productivity of your mobile workforce. We formally announced the partnership at Field Service USA out in Palm Springs. That is a lovely picture of Matt King and myself having fun at the booth. If you missed us out there, we will also be showing the integrated solution at Field Service Fall, which is coming up in Florida at the end of August. So we hope that you can join us there. Before we jump into the integrated solution, I just wanted to give you a quick background on Astea's solution, which is called Alliance. And Alliance covers the entire service life cycle. So everything that you need to market to a customer, to close a customer, to service all of their assets throughout the life cycle of their equipment is all housed within the Alliance platform, even business intelligence and reporting on the back end, and all of that integrated then with the Vision platform from XOi gives you that kind of transparency and all that great information sharing, like we mentioned, with both your techs and your internal management, and then also externally with your customers to give you that transparency and increase the level of trust with them. An exciting news from us is that we will be launching the most transformative software version release of Alliance coming up very soon. If you were at Field Service USA, you might have gotten a sneak peek. And if you're coming to Field Service Fall, you'll be able to see it there. But we're really excited about this and a lot of great things are coming, so stay tuned there. Without further ado, before we describe the integration, really the best way is to show you. So if you bear with me, we're just going to play this short little video so you can envision how these two platforms are going to work together.
At the heart of XOi Technologies is the Vision platform. Vision is integrated into Astea to provide a seamless and simple experience for everyone involved. Using any mobile device or select smart glasses, the Vision platform makes your field service technicians complete tasks more effectively. Vision uses Optical Character Recognition to capture data plates so your team can access manufacturer, model, and serial information from one simple picture. That information can also be used to surface diagnostic resources, including manuals, wiring diagrams, and video training content. Vision leverages natural language processing to tag all videos created by your techs, saving them to be used by the rest of your team. Vision will listen, identify, and tag industry-specific words that allow your technicians to search for useful resources from the field. If they get stuck, Vision allows any tech to provide live video support to anyone in the field using phone or smart glasses. This saves our customers thousands of dollars every month by solving problems remotely before they have to roll another truck. When a recommended repair arises, your technicians can create videos that scope the work while showing the logistics, access, and site conditions, so your sales team can accurately and efficiently quote. Technicians can also make videos for their customers, transforming the deliverables and providing the level of trust and transparency that customers expect. All of these features on the XOi Vision platform give your field service technicians the ability to share the knowledge in your company, making every tech your best tech.
Okay, great. I hope you all enjoyed that video. And now before we jump into it, I want to launch a quick poll. We're curious, where is visual intelligence on your radar? Okay, thank you so much. It looks like nearly 3/4 of you voted, and what's interesting is that you're all kind of at opposite ends of the spectrum. Looks like out of the people who voted, over half of you are really interested and are starting to look at this now. About 25% of you are just learning; they're just scratching the surface. So very interesting. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Now, at this point, I'd love to introduce you to Aaron from XOi, who's going to walk you through some information on their vision platform. Aaron, take it away.
Great. Thank you, Emily. I appreciate it. Jack, excited to have you on the call, sir. Glad we were able to see a little bit of what XOi does in that video, and we really wanted to break down kind of what we believe is happening just simply with photos and videos in the industry. You know, we talk about the skilled trades gap quite a bit, and certainly if you're in the field service space, you can appreciate that being a concern for you. And we believe that, you know, as you look at that particular problem, you can mitigate it significantly with simple technology executed well. I think there's a lot of technology solutions out in the space that can put together a great marketing video, and certainly we appreciate that. But when it comes down to putting a $3,000 device on a technician's head and expecting them to use it on a daily basis by swiping in the air, sometimes that's not always feasible. So we try to look at technology solutions and in a way that's simple and provides meaningful value. There's a few ways you can look at solving this problem and with visual intelligence, but let's look at something really simple to the point of staying consistent: photos and videos. By leveraging photos and videos you likely already take today in a structured way, you can get the right information to the right people at the right time. Something you're familiar with, something that this generation, certainly we see younger people getting into this industry, are more than familiar with. I joke that I have a 17-year-old sister that I don't think makes phone calls on her phone. I'm sure those of you have those age folks in your life can understand how much video curation and viewing is taken on smartphones today, and it's happening in business as well. We're seeing it really happen across the entire world. Here's a couple statistics. Photo and video will account for 80% of all global internet traffic by 2019. It's going to account for 85% of all US traffic. Every second, nearly 1 million minutes of video content across IP networks by next year. And I thought this was interesting. You always hear a picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, Dr. James McQuivy at Forrester actually did an analysis, estimates that 1 minute of video is equal to 1.8 million words. So there's some interesting opportunities, but to look at this pragmatically, you say, well, it's clearly the world's fastest growing communication medium. It has to be part of the knowledge gathering and sharing strategy when we talk about the skilled trades gap, when we talk about visual intelligence, we talk about also being able to increase sales and allowing us to differentiate in our market. So how do you get that done? Well, you can't just decide today, wow, photo and video is a communication medium that's taking over. I'm going to go and tell my technicians to just start taking more content. There has to be consistency. There has to be a plan. And one of our customers here in Nashville, who in fact Jack and the BP group. Jack sent a team of folks from New York City to Nashville. In addition to getting some good barbecue for a day, they were able to spend a day with Lee Company to learn how they did their processes. And this is the kind of analysis and results that Lee Company's gotten over the last couple of years of using our system. They have a little over 300 field workers. They've taken 300,000 pictures through XOi, 112,000 videos. They've shared just shy of 136,000 pieces of content with customers. And they are recognizing over $1 million in efficiency and new sales created. And it wasn't simply walking out to their 300 field techs and saying, all right, photos, videos, start today. It was leveraging a consistent workflow, a structure, and leveraging technology in a way to make it meaningful and sustainable. There's a lot of ways in the field that content can be captured. And this is whether taking photos and videos from the field, whether it's a live video call. There's several things that we support. And I think a misnomer, people see smart glasses from the XOi side specifically and go, oh, you're a smart glass company. Certainly that's a device that we support, and there's a couple different ones that we do. But a lot of our technicians out in the field are leveraging this on a smartphone and tablet. The value is really in the software, but there's a multitude of different ways you can collect it, whether it's an iPhone, Android phone, whether it's the RealWear HMT1, which you see pictured here in the middle, or whether it's a GoPro. We've partnered with GoPro late last year to integrate their device into the system as well. So really just giving the field service technician an opportunity to gather hands-free point of view content, which is really, really important for specific use cases. So if I'm doing a telepresence call, a la FaceTime, and I'm doing that through a GoPro or a head-mounted tablet, I really need both hands. We just recently had a customer on the West Coast that had a 43-minute call in which a young guy was on site and he was able to get assistance from someone back at the office to fix a large chiller system. You can imagine holding up FaceTime for 43 minutes while working with your hands. It can be pretty difficult. So certainly hands-free point of view has major advantages in the use case, but perhaps for a 90-second customer recap video, not as important, and a tech can pull their phone out. So really having consistency with the software is the most important piece, and then having device options and flexibility when it comes to the use cases. So when we talk about workflow and allude to workflow, leveraging content in a way that's meaningful across field service workers' day is critically important. Again, simply saying, hey, let's start taking training videos, or hey, let's start taking customer recap videos, or make a live call when you get into trouble, isn't enough. And so within our system, we structured a workflow in which we can customize a couple different things. Telling the technician and prompting them when to take content and then who it's for. We also can, by doing that and structuring that workflow, can identify that content, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that, and automatically share that content. So whether it's taking a picture of a nameplate, as alluded to in the video for optical character recognition, whether it's creating a training video, or whether it's creating a piece of content to share with the customer that you did what you said you're going to do, justifying a change order, justifying an upsell of some kind, a structure and a workflow is required to make the collection of this content meaningful. So we talked a little bit about automation and the identification and sharing of content. This is where the real value is created. Let's say, for example, a company was able to say, we want to start engaging this idea that content from the field can create a meaningful experience for internal and external stakeholders. And they did, without a system like XOi, say, hey, let's be consistent about the content we're capturing. You eventually would create really a data swamp. You would have thousands and thousands of videos. You saw Lee Company's numbers and several 100,000 photos, several 100,000 videos. And there really isn't a meaningful way to identify those unless you hire somebody in your office to build a huge Dropbox or Google Drive file system and really almost have a full-time job kind of categorizing those things. And so there's a couple different technologies that have really grown in the last few years, two technologies that XOi leverages quite heavily in the mechanical, electrical, plumbing space. The first one is natural language processing. You probably use this at some point on your phone to perhaps speak a text into existence. What we do and how we leverage NLP and the advantages there is we can actually extract the audio from a video that's created, and we can do a couple different things with it. We can create field notes automatically. If you got technicians in the field, you will be very familiar with the fact that they're not typically big fans of taking extensive, detailed field notes. You've probably seen I came to the site and fixed it more times than you would like. And so the ability to be able to extract an entire transcription of a video they've created from their phone or tablet is huge. Another piece that natural language processing can do in automating the identification is pulling out keywords. And so we have customers that create a lot of training content, and we have about a library now of about 30,000 terms that we listen for on videos. And we actually tag that content with those specific terms. So let's say in the HVAC space, for example, the space that Jack's in, if a user says train, 100-ton, CGAM, thermal overload sensor, those are clearly words that identify the content of that video. We can tag that automatically, and so the next person that's on site and has a problem with thermal overload sensor on a 100-ton CGAM train system can type those keywords in and find that content. There's no one on the back end identifying that and making that readily available. So those are just a couple of examples of what natural language processing can do in automatically identifying those photos and videos from the field. The second thing is something called Optical Character Recognition, or OCR. So probably something that could be most familiar with is systems like Expensify, or perhaps the online banking app that you might use for your personal bank. The ability for them to take a picture of a check and download it. The same technology that we leverage, except we're applying that to nameplates of machinery, all different types, whether it's an electrical box, some sort of modular plumbing system, or a mechanical HVAC unit. We can extract manufacturer, model, and serial number and automatically tag that into the system. So again, another process that technicians and engineers in the field may forget or accidentally fat finger, the ability to be able to simply take a picture of a nameplate and extract that relevant information and find that particular set of information and tie that back to Astea has been huge for our customers. And we've seen people leverage this for receipts, for manuals. We actually have a large OEM customer that has an Expensify on their phone, and the technicians are still not getting receipts in, or still weren't. And simply by having a structured workflow and creating a step within our workflow called receipts, they've been able to have something to remind them to get those receipts in, so they don't have to write those off. And so again, it sounds really simple, but again, structuring content, structuring it in a way that prompts the user to take that piece of content is really important. So we talked about identification a little bit. What about sharing? Well, being able to integrate into Astea is huge. And so the ability to be able to launch workflows that we describe from XOi, custom workflows, it could be 6 steps, it could be 3 steps, it could be 100, but not only are we automating the identification of each one of those steps, but we also can share where that content goes. So for example, if I had a step that was training content and I was prompting a technician to create a training video to share with the rest of my staff, that could automatically send an email to my training manager to audit that content. If I'm creating a piece of sales content on a roof and I've got to get that to an account manager, the ability for me not to have to take that on my phone, try to send it via text, via email, hopefully the file's not too big, through XOi and through the Astea connection, we're able to share that information seamlessly via hyperlink. Imagine the power of your sales staff getting a video from a technician on the roof showing exactly the problem, being able to see and cure it, and provide that to your customer as you are the expert and you're going to provide the best level of service and replacement that anyone else is going to see. And you're proving that through your expertise in the field. It's a much different deliverable on the sales side, being able to share seamlessly, than a customer getting 3 sheets of paper with 3 numbers on it and them choosing the lowest one, which is typically what they're used to. So giving that visibility is only possible, again, through structured content collection and automatic sharing. So we talked a little about text and email, important to get to internal and external stakeholders. The third thing in terms of sharing is live video. I alluded to it, the story with a West Coast customer. Certainly being able to put a virtual technician on the shoulder of all your techs in the field is big. To go back to a lead company or a company like McDonnell Miller on the West Coast, they've actually created virtual service centers. So they've got guys with bad backs and bad knees, and I know Jack has put that together, and we'll talk about that as well. at BP, but guys that really can get on the roof anymore, maybe have physical limitations or just aren't able to do it. They have a breadth of knowledge, and so the ability to be able to sit in an office with a big flat screen TV and walk someone through a fix is really, really important. So again, when you think about structuring content in the right workflow, being able to tie it to an awesome system like Astea's so that it's a seamless experience for your technician, and then sharing it internally and externally to really create value for your folks. The fourth thing here is the knowledge base. We alluded to training videos. I spend a lot of time here, but over time, when you talk about a skilled trades gap, the solution to that skilled trades gap is knowledge. And as many of you know, on the commercial side, there is not a YouTube for commercial field service. You might find a couple videos here and there, but outside of trying to tinker with something at your house, it's going to be a challenge. And so we've got companies putting together large training-based training videos and able to train new employees and ultimately give people information at the point that they need it. I'm going to go ahead and transition over at this point to Mr. Matt King, who's going to deep dive a little bit more about the Vision and Astea Alliance integration looks like and how it works.
Thanks for that, Aaron. All right, so as Aaron walked us through that process of what XOi can do, it really does take on a new dimension once we integrate that with Astea and the Mobile Edge package. So having the seamless experience to be able to launch XOi from a ticket to enable those capabilities with the technicians in the field is the ultimate goal there. So what I'll do is walk through what that experience looks like and the capture and the management of that content as it relates to working between the two systems. So we've got a screen here that's showing, you're in your Mobile Edge platform as a technician in the field. You can see here's your work list. Here are the jobs that you have coming up. And here is customer number one. We're going to the SS service company, and directly from the application, we've got a button for the XOi launch. So you can go directly from your job into the XOi application with a single click. So from here, we're going to launch into the capabilities that XOi is going to afford. Again, it's all cloud-based, so by virtue of taking photos and videos with this system, we'll click on the camera here, everything is going to be uploaded to the cloud and immediately accessible by your other team or by the customer. So here, we're using the native photo, or the native camera rather. Take a picture, we'll take that photo, we can approve it here, and it's uploaded to the cloud. As we're taking this content, we'll be able to reference it in our gallery. So here's a quick reference to everything that we've done on this job. So say we need a quick question answered so we can send some of this content to, say, our service manager back at the shop. With any of this content, we can quickly create a hyperlink to share this content on demand. So we're going to choose these couple of photos, click next, we're going to enter our phone number, and a quick note, asking Bill, hey, does this meet spec? We're going to send that message and get on with our job. So again, instead of attaching these photos or videos, which you certainly have size and bandwidth limitations on, we're just going to send a hyperlink that now that recipient can click on to access and get that information loop closed up as tight as possible. We've mentioned live calls. That's where you're going to be able to connect your technicians between each other or with personnel back at the shop who can quickly see what that camera is pointing at and provide that remote mentorship, so hopefully they can get the job done quickly without having to roll a second truck. Ideally, again, with that knowledge base, we'll be able to search for the relevant content that's going to allow me to do my job without even having to make a call. So whether it's looking back at previous service tickets, to get some context about, hey, what happened last time we were on site, or looking at specific pieces of content, searching for train and CGAM and 100-ton chiller so we can pull up those relevant pieces of content, those videos, or even those manuals that are going to help me do my job, all with the intent of providing me with the knowledge to effectively execute. The last bit is a workflow. So by virtue of launching from Astea, we're going to pull over the relevant service ticket number, customer name, and location to ensure data parity between the two systems. And at this point, we can launch into this predefined process. Now, you can define multiple different flavors of these workflows, whether it's preventive maintenance, it's a break fix, it's a site walk. Again, all structured how you want it to be based on your operating procedures. So here we'll do a preventive maintenance and then start choosing all of the content that we're going to include as a part of this job. So we've taken photos, we've taken some videos. These are all the things that are going to be included as part of this deliverable. We'll click next to go to this next step. So here is data plate. So again, the workflow is structured to help prompt and organize the collection and distribution of content. So this first step is data plates. Before you work on an asset, snap a picture of that data plate. You can see it there. And what we're going to do is run optical character recognition on each of those images, extract the make, model, and serial number so your technicians aren't having to translate it or transcribe it, and then move on to the next step. This next step, we're calling sales opportunities. So there's certainly points in a job where you can start to see other opportunities or issues that need to be addressed. In this case, there's a giant hole in the drain pan, and we were able to observe, wow, there's a belt that's about to bust. So snapping a quick photo, a quick video of these pieces of content, uploading them here as a part of this step, and adding a quick note to Bill, who's going to get this information automatically saying, hey, here's what I'm going to do, make sure everything looks good, and I'll forward this on for approval. Again, closing that information loop and that feedback loop so you can quickly execute and deliver on those new opportunities. Final step, this is the customer recap. This is where we're going to include all of that valuable photo and video content, whether it's before and after pictures, it is gauge readings, it is anything that that customer needs to see to know that you have delivered on your promise and that they have received the service that they expect. In addition, you can add some field notes. You can transcribe those from your video and add a nice personal touch. Thank you for your business, something that really sets you apart as an exceptional service provider in your market. This last step is just confirmatory. You can see all the content that you just uploaded, ensure everything looks good. You can go back and edit if you need to. Assuming it all looks good, you hit submit. Everything is uploaded to the cloud. Everything is documented in your account, and you're on to the next job. You're going to see it's going to click back over into Astea, and now we have a hyperlink automatically written back that's going to be included with that ticket or that invoice or that work order that the customer is now going to be able to access and click and forward if they need to. And that hyperlink is essentially going to take them to the landing page, which now ties all of that information back between systems and includes the customer in that feedback so they can now see the information that they need associated with that job. That was a quick overview of how those two systems work. Again, there's a lot more that you can get into as far as the details, but that should illustrate how in the field that technician is taking full advantage of the integrated system.
Matt, that was great.
That,
thank you so much.
You're more than welcome.
All
Let me
right.
give you presenter back.
Thank you. And we are excited to introduce next Jack Fannerin from the BP Group. And we're going to be launching a little live case study with him so that you can hear from a company who's going to be using this integrated solution and understand from their point of view all the great things that they're going to be using. And it'll make sense after you've heard Aaron and Matt kind of walk you through it. So without further ado, welcome to Jack. And now, Jack, before I jump into these questions, why don't you introduce yourself to the audience and tell us a little bit more about the BP Group for some of us who aren't familiar with your company?
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Jack Fannerin. I'm the president of the BP Group in New York. The BP Group is a large service and mechanical contractor in New York City. We're a union contractor. We have 5 separate companies. We have BP Mechanical, which does a lot of our plan and spec and building work. We have BP Service, which has a very large recurring service base. We have a special projects group team who works with client directs. We have a controls group, and we have an installation group and a large chiller group. And we push about probably 100 to 110 million a year in revenue, with the BP Group, with all the companies combined. We're an ESOP-owned company. We became ESOP from the founders, who were great. They went through a lot of succession planning, and they decided to sell the company to the employees. So we're ESOP-owned as of December of 2016. A really great, really cool, and it works very well. It keeps us all engaged, which is awesome. And that's basically a brief description of who the BP Group is.
Great. Thank you so much, Jack. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Why don't you tell us why you decided to go with the Astea Alliance platform for your field service management needs?
All right. Well, before we even started choosing Astea, I guess it was about a 4-month process. We engaged a firm called ATX, a consulting firm that we've been working with a lot since about 2008 with our growth. And we did a lot of vetting. We vetted about 12 different contracts. We first started off creating an RFI. We sent it out to about 12 different software firms, including our incumbent. We vetted that down to about 5. We invited them in for proof of content and demos, et cetera, that they had to do. And then we came down to basically 2 that we ended up doing contract reviews on. So it was a long process, and we basically came down and chose Astea because of its transparency and their mobile solution and the friendliness of the product, the GUI system, just the friendliness of the GUI system. But basically, our biggest goal was engagement of the customer and creating a transparency, not just between the client, but also for our techs and our employees in the office. We just want information to be readily available in real time. We had a very robust system prior to moving over to Astea, but it created a massive data garage. And that caused us to take a lot of time in extrapolating information, putting it together in a format to present it, whether it was internally based for our staff or whether it was externally based for our clients. And that we found Astea was just, we were able to create the reports with Astea, able to use the client portal through Astea so the client could see what they want to see in real time. And the dangerous word of accountability, we want to hold ourselves accountable to the client, and we also want to hold the client accountable to us. And that's all part of a customer engagement. It's a 2-way street. It's not just a 1-way street in service. So we chose Astea. We love the analytics of Astea. We love the Watson-type internet stuff of Astea. They really understand the service business, not just the HVAC business, but service on a whole. And a lot of out-of-the-box ideas that we looked at really helped us to reinvent how we present service to our customer, to the end user. It was really important as relates to, our senior management team, they're not in the day-to-day, so they rely on dashboards. And we created, external to our old system, a dashboard that integrated so they could see things that were happening, but it wasn't really in real time. Now they can go in, they don't got to yell out of their office, can you get me this call report, how many open calls, or what's going on with this? They can literally bring it up in real time, see what's happening, and address the situation directly without really interrupting the workflow of anybody else. And as you get larger, you need to control that workflow. So, Astea won for us, and we're really happy with the decision.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jack. When you and I were talking previously, you had mentioned how there were 2 ways you were going to be sharing all of the analytics and business intelligence reporting that you get, and how you're going to be conveying that information to your customers, like you were mentioning. And I know you said one of those ways was done directly in the field through your techs, and then the other way was going to be using the Alliance customer portal. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, the biggest problem I think we have with the new technology of Astea and XOi is, not just educating the client, but educating our staff. When you tell somebody you have this stuff available to them, it's like, oh, really cool, and how many people actually end up utilizing it. We need and want them to utilize and become engaged. So the first process is actually taking it to the field, taking it to the technicians and training them. So when they're actually with the client, they're going to be able to show the client what's going on, what data is available to them, show the client how they're using that data, and at the same time show the client how they can access that. We also have a lot of customer service reps, and they're out in the field, and they have to meet with clients. We'd like to see every client, at least on a quarterly basis with a customer service rep. And they, too, will be then taking the client through how the client can access the system, how the client can see things in real time, how the client can use their mobile device if they're on vacation in Florida or, like the picture here shows, most people were probably in Florida, and this poor guy was on a rooftop in Manhattan freezing with XOi eyeglasses on there. And it's going to be through repetition is the only way we're going to really get that across. But it's going to also be what differentiates us from everybody else. We want our client to feel that we're managing their asset, and it is their asset, and we want to reduce the downtime as best as possible, and we want them to be involved in that process and partnered in that process. And to us, Astea is going to really, along with XOi, it's going to make what we do tangible. HVAC is not really tangible anymore. I mean, no one really sees the units. They just expect to walk into a nice, comfortable environment. They have no idea the amount of energy it's taken to create that environment and why it's costing so much and what the per kW cost is. With Astea, we're able to take that information and present it to the client in such a way that it gives the client the ability to make competent decisions and not be, I guess you could say, in the hands of a contractor and do what the contractor wants them to do versus what is the right thing to do.
Right, that makes perfect sense. Thank you so much for that. Now, switching gears, and I know they're related, but why would you say you all decided to go with XOi for their visual intelligence platform?
Well, I guess you could say with XOi, we got involved in the early stages of XOi. I was, God's truth, I was very ignorant. I was just really worried about the skill gap, and I met Aaron, and he really was engaged, but also he really was engaged as relates to this industry. So I started listening to what he had to say, and I've been looking at this for a while. And sorry about that, my daughter just called. Sorry, but what we ended up doing was he understood what we were talking about, and I wasn't looking at this massive solution that was going to cost a bazillion dollars. I really wanted to have guys in the office who can give my field staff direction. We have a very good education program for our technicians here. They all go through the apprenticeship program, but you can't, an apprentice doesn't come out as a journeyman. That takes experience, that takes wisdom, it takes years of knowledge. And basically, that's the way I approached Aaron. So we went at it from a skills gap point of view, and we really didn't look at many other products. We were very grateful for Lee Corporation. We sent a bunch of guys down to Nashville to visit Aaron's offices and to visit Lee, which is, really, I respect Lee. I've known them for quite some time. We've had a lot of discussions amongst ourselves. The only negative thing was sending the guys down to Nashville because they never recovered. It took about a week for them to recover once they got back. External of that, they were thrilled with it. We've had our hills and valleys. When we first started introducing it, we rolled it out in the summertime. And when I say hills and valleys, clients were getting used to it, but our consistency at BP wasn't where we needed it to be. A client would get proposals and say, look, Jack, can you tell me on this proposal? You just send me the link like you did on this so I could see what's going on. And I'd be like, oh, gee whiz, that guy really didn't do it. And that was something new to me, but a light bulb went off in my head with the XOi. It wasn't just from a skill gap that these guys were calling in and getting support. In Manhattan, we have massive congestion. To go from the east side of Manhattan to the west side could take a guy a half hour. Since 9/11, God bless, just trying to get into a security and through the building takes another hour. My foreman and our engineers can talk to the tech on site much quicker than actually physically having to go to the job site. So that was important to me. But what I really found later on, this is what my ignorance came in, was from a sales point of view, our service contract salespeople fell in love with it. They were showing videos to the clients. My proposal, my upselling team, they were attaching the proposals. And Aaron had told me this, but I'll be honest with you, I wasn't focused on that. I was focused on downtime and increasing labor productivity and filling that skill gap. And I looked at this client, I'll never forget. I'm like, I'm sorry, but it wasn't really my focus. And we refocused on that. And it's really brought a lot of good for us. So we're very excited about the partnership between XOi and between Astea. I'll give you one example. We'll use XOi when we commission a system. So Michael Brathwaite's our vice president of air conditioning, and one of his biggest clients is BP Mechanical, and they'll do startups. And he has a team of guys who do startups, and they'll tape their startup. So we got a service call one time. We went back down, and the guy had actually taped his startup. He showed the VFD working on the unit and controlling the unit, et cetera. And the unit was down because of the VFD failure. When the same technician went back, he took another video and was able to show that there was, this is New York, but somebody didn't do something nice, and they clipped the wires to the VFD to the unit. So that was a situation where we actually had proof that the startup was completed. It was completed properly. We showed them how the VFD startup went and how it was running. And now we go back almost a week later, and they had some malfeasance occur, and someone clipped the wires, whether they did it by accident or intentional, like who's to say. But to have that video and be able to show that to the general contractor and to the client, was really important, from that perspective too. So there's so many different ways you're going to find that having that experiential impact of AR, augmented reality, is a further way to engage the client. And I think it's just going to be what we're going to be doing in the future. I mean, even if a guy works on my boiler, which failed at my house, I want proof. I wish the guy had a thing so he could just show me what was going on with my boiler, other than the fact that the basement was flooded. I just thought the relief valve went and the guy was trying to sell me a new boiler. I would have loved him to have that video. So it was very good for us. I'm sorry for going on, but it's a very competent technology.
No, not at all. That's great. Thank you. And I feel the same way. I had someone fix my washer recently, and I wasn't there, and I would have loved to see what he actually did. So I completely understand what you're talking about. Just to wrap it up, I have one more question. Jack, when you and I spoke before, I asked you if your competitors were offering any type of capabilities like this that give you that kind of customer transparency and technician efficiency. And you said that you were the first amongst your competitors to offer something like this. Talk to me a little bit about that.
We were the first, but I be honest with you, it does differentiate us. But I hope not to be the last, because my goal is that the whole industry becomes this, takes this route. We got to become, we have to become a more professional industry, and we have to be more accountable to our clients. And we got to, that's the way I think BP differentiates itself from everybody else. And for us, service is all about communication, and communication requires engagement, and engagement requires trust. And if you look at it, in the old days, trust was just a personality. It was Jack knowing the client, or Mike Brathwaite, or Lisa Caruso, or my key people at BP knowing the client, and they trusted them, what they told, etc. Nowadays, with all the technologies, it's not just, A is the personality. That's one piece of trust. The second piece of trust is people want data now. They want to see the math. They want to see you validate what you've done, and that's where Astea is coming in. And then the next part, C, is they want to be able to have an experiential. They want to visibly see it. They want to validate it that way, and then you got to make it, when they see a video and they can actually understand what went wrong, you've now really put three pieces together in the word trust, and now you have true engagement with a client, and with true engagement comes true communication, and now you have service. You have a client that's going to see past just numbers. So to me, people who take this track will retain their clients longer, the trust will be much stronger, the bond will be much stronger, and in this world going forward with everybody with the technology and quicker, cheaper, faster, whatever, I think this is where we have to be. And actually, it's been very helpful to us. We've really modernized everything, right, from our inventory systems to the augmented reality, the Internet of Things, and Astea are taking us really where we need to be today, not 5 years from now. And 5 years from now, who knows what's going to go on? But I'm very happy with the partnership.
Awesome. Jack, thank you so much. We really appreciate you joining. And like I said, I think the audience really appreciates hearing it from you directly, not just from XOi and Astea. They want to hear from someone who's going to be using it, and the drivers for why you chose it, and the expected benefits. And I think that makes it more powerful. So thank you so much again. And please hang on the line, because we're going to have a lot of questions. So with that, I will open it for Q&A. And some people are really eager and already putting in some questions, so that's great. We're going to get to them. First question I'm getting looks like it's directed towards you, Matt and Aaron. And I think you might have covered this, Aaron, but why don't you just clarify for folks? This person says, I see that the text in your slides are wearing smart glasses. Do you have to wear smart glasses in order to use XOi?
So the answer is no. And in fact, we see a majority of technicians leveraging this on hardware they've already invested in, companies have invested in the field. It's really use case specific. And when you have what we see typically people investing into hands-free point of view solutions are folks that are using a lot of live video. So perhaps younger technician base that's going to need a lot of that type of support, and folks in the system that are creating a lot of training content. Two things that certainly require a longer piece of either live video or video content to be created, hands-free point of view is an advantage. So really it's about the software. We're device agnostic, but we offer those solutions for customers that have those specific needs.
Great. Thanks so much, Aaron. Next question is for you, Jack, at the BP Group. This person is asking you, have you seen a sales lift since using XOi?
Well, this is what's occurred with that. We've been trying to measure it, and what we have found is the closure ratio is much greater on a proposal which has a video tag on it, an XOi tag, than one without. So again, from an implementation point of view, we're, I would say, close to 65–70% of getting the guys to all utilize it on every proposal. And yes, the closure ratio on any proposal, upsell through proposal that goes through with that link closes. It closes, and it closes much quicker, or you know, it at least brings the conversation to the table. We look at our backlog, and our biggest concern is when we look at our backlog, and you know, it's ugly, but sometimes you have a $2 million backlog. You don't see in that backlog really many, if any, proposals that have an XOi link on it, and that right there tells the tale for us that those are causing us and helping us to close work.
Great. Thank you so much for that. Another question coming in about integration capabilities from Astea. Anything different, or this person is asking you, is there anything different that we're going to be offering in the new version of Alliance when it comes to integration? So yes, we're going to have a lot of out-of-the-box standard connectors. So all of the main business apps that you use, whether it's a CRM or financial application or ERP, we're going to have a lot of standard connectors. So implementing integrations is going to be a lot faster. The other cool thing that's coming in version 15, and again, if you haven't seen it, I encourage you to reach out to us. We can give you a demo or come see us at Field Service Fall, but we're going to be launching this new feature that's almost going to look like a Visio type graphical interface where for non-technical people, you can drag and drop to build some custom integrations. Let's say what you want to integrate to isn't something that's out of the box, and you can build it yourself. So we do have more capabilities coming there for integration. And as you can see, we're trying to integrate more with a lot of emerging technologies. XOi is just one example of that. We think it adds a lot of value to our customers, and as you heard directly from Jack himself, they think that's the case too. So I don't see any more questions coming in. So with that, I just want to say thanks to everyone so much for your attention today and joining us. We will be launching a quick survey here at the end. So if you can take a few minutes and fill out our 2-question survey, we'd be most appreciative. And then I will be sending out the replay to everyone early next week. So if you want to listen to it again or you want to share it with a colleague, you'll be able to do that. And also check out our handouts. We have some brochures on the new version of our Astea platform coming out called Alliance Enterprise, and I have a brochure on XOi too. So I encourage you to check those out and learn more. And then if you have any questions, please reach out to us. You see our contact information on the screen. And again, a big warm thank you to Jack at the BP Group for sharing their experience thus far. And we thank you all for sharing your time with us today. Thanks so much.